Welcome. Welcome to your summit. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Wow, what a couple of years that we have just gone through together. My goodness. I am loving the theme of this year's summit, Make It Grow. I'm here today to talk to you about growing your business while you're dealing with grief. First, I want to define grief, and then I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So grief is the natural response to loss. And it's the emotional suffering that you feel when something or someone is taken away. Now notice that it's not just someone, it can be something taken away as well. When my 8-year-old daughter Rachel died back in 1998 from complications from a flu virus, it was called ITP. Your antibodies attack the platelets instead of the virus. And she got a spontaneous bleed in her brain, and she was pronounced brain dead after surgery. And that brought me to my knees. And while I was going through the grief journey, I realized that I wasn't just grieving the loss of my daughter Rachel. I had all sorts of other unresolved grief that bubbled up to the surface at the same time. And that's what grief does. And in the 16 years that I've been working with clients, guiding them through the grief process, I've seen time and time again, people walk through the front door because someone has died, but they end up getting resolved about an old past loss that frees them up to deal with a more recent loss. And you have all been running your businesses, growing your businesses, trying to survive this COVID-19 situation over the last couple years. And I can only imagine the challenges that you have all been going through. So I just want to take a moment and tell you a little bit about me. My name is Cheryl Parker, and I'm a thought leader. And my expertise is in adaptability skills and mental health strategies. I've worked with community social services companies and sports organizations, and that's given me a wide, expansive opportunity to transform workplaces and team culture so that new opportunities can emerge. So my workshop facilitation and my adult teaching certificate and various trainings for health and safety, along with my personal experience, have given me an opportunity to transform and provide workplace strategies. I'm also known for working with professional, successful women who have lost a spouse, and I give them a safe place to land with all those messy emotions, and I help them get clear about what's important to them right now. And I help them put a plan together so that they can rebuild, still focus at work while they learn to live again. So today, I want to talk about the broader range of grief, since we have all collectively just gone through grief with COVID-19. Whether you realize it or not, the whole world has been grieving. And I want to give you a couple of examples of losses that you perhaps have dealt with, or you've seen it with your clients. I don't think anybody's immune. You've either dealt with it or you know somebody who's dealing with it. So there's the loss of a job, perhaps, loss of a loved one, loss of financial status, loss of social connection, loss of physical activity, loss of security, loss of mental health, loss of what you know to be true, loss of your routine, loss of your normal. So all these losses can make it very murky and very rough to navigate the waters. So I want you today to walk away with some tangible tools to be able to deal with the grief that you are experiencing or have experienced, but also be able to grow your business. Now, I'm not saying ignore what you're dealing with and just grow your business. That's not what I'm about at all. In fact, my motto is free to be real, like allowing all of it to be in the presence of your consciousness. So, what I'm suggesting is that you don't go over it, under it, around it, but you learn how to embrace it so that you can use the adaptability skills to move through and also be growing your business. Okay, so before we dive in, I hope you all have notebooks and pens at your fingertips. So I want you all to take a moment and write down 2 or 3 of your business goals that you have brought into the summit with you for these 2 days. So take a moment and jot down 2 or 3 goals. Now, once you've got those goals in place, I want you to use those goals as a backdrop while we learn about adaptability and we learn the tools for you to grow your business. So use those goals as the context for yourself while you're learning these tools. So first of all, let's learn what adaptability is. Adaptability is the capacity to spot a changing context and shift your behaviors or mindset to reach a goal. So adaptability is key when you're dealing with all the messy emotions and circumstances in your life. Now, for me, whether it was dealing with the death of my 8-year-old daughter, or leaving my corporate job and starting my own business, or my house being under renovation after $100,000 damage from an oil spill, helping my son navigate his grief when his dad died by suicide, or recovering from a brain injury. Adaptability was key in all of those circumstances that I was dealing with. So I want to talk today about adaptability skills and how you can use them to grow your business. So the good news about adaptability skills is that we all have adaptability skills. It's really in our DNA. We're born with it. And whether we know it or not, we're using adaptability skills. And I'll give you just a quick example from my own life. When I was like 5 years old, I had an eye operation. And after the operation, they put a patch on my strong eye so that my weak eye would strengthen. So I come home from the hospital and I am bumping into door frames, I am bumping into furniture, and I'm learning how to deal with this new reality that I'm faced with. Now my parents were encouraging, and other than a few giggles here and there when I was bumping into things, but I adapted. Now, I can guarantee you that adaptability was not in my vocabulary when I was 5 years old, nor did my parents sit me down and say, well, listen, Cheryl, if you apply your adaptability skills, you'll have better performance and you'll be able to deal with self-awareness and your mental health, and you'll be able to deal with, all the circumstances you're going to deal with when you go back to school and all the kids are going to tease you. And, there was no conversation like that. So, but, eventually my adaptability skills kicked in and I was conquering those door frames like a champ. I went back to school and I dealt with the teasing, and eventually my eye got strong and the patch came off. So I know that you have early childhood memories of some way you were able to adapt. And as we go through life, adaptability is there for sure. I think about when I went to high school and the changes of having to not just be in one classroom, but to change classrooms for each subject, running to my locker, grabbing my books, and making it to the next class, and all the changes that high school introduced. But again, my adaptability skills kicked in. Now, I'm not saying life doesn't throw us some curveballs and toss us to and fro. It certainly does. And the thing that can kill adaptability is our thoughts. And another example I can give you is, again, in high school, I was nominated to be the student council representative for our class. So I go off to students' council and they do a vote, and I get voted in as one of the executives on the council. And I did a quick assessment. I scanned the room and I looked at the other executives and I looked at the other people in the room, and I thought, I don't measure up. Like, I'm in way over my head. Who am I to be on the executive? And I disqualified myself and I ended up backing out. So rather than using my adaptability skills in that situation, I let my thoughts take over and I limited myself in my growth and development. So that's just an example of how, we do have natural abilities, but they can get squashed when we get into the right, wrong, good, bad kind of conversation in our thoughts. But here's where the good news gets better. So adaptability is in our DNA, but it's also a soft skill that we can develop. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So why adaptability? Well, because there is a distinct difference between the life that you have and the life that you want as far as adaptability. Now, if you want a life of laying on the couch and watching TV, it doesn't take a very big human being. But if you want a life with family and travel and retirement and any of the other goals that you have in your life or your dreams that you want to fulfill, then adaptability is important. So let's explore the 5 elements of adaptability. The first one is relationships. So I don't know what you have written down for your goals, but you may have a goal of improving relationships with your clients, getting more referrals, improving personal relationships. Well, then adaptability skills are definitely going to help you. Because when it comes to relationships, knowing the preference of communication styles with your clients so that you can adapt to the way they communicate will serve you when you're serving your clients. And knowing your own preference of communication styles will help you know when you have to pivot to accommodate their other communication styles. So how great would it be to have ease around that, to be able to, because I'm sure you have clients with all kinds of different personality types and communication styles, and it's so important, with your business that you understand your clients and you understand what their needs are and what they want from you so that you can deliver on that. So how great would it be to have some ease around that? The second one is performance. So maybe some of your goals are about performing effectively in your business. And you can solve novel tasks, increase your resilience, creativity, problem solving. I'm sure you're using that all in your day-to-day tasks now. But what if it wasn't a stressor? What if you could do it with some ease? Like, wouldn't that make a difference? So you could make decisions better because of your ability to look at situations from a different vantage point. You wouldn't be so stuck in one way how to do things. And then the third one is mental health. And mental health is paramount in adaptability. Because, if you don't have your mental health, there is no way you're going to achieve any of your goals that you wrote down. It's going to help you achieve any or all of your goals if you are paying attention to your mental health. So if you have good mental health, you'll have a better satisfaction in your life. You'll have a higher sense of purpose. You'll have higher self-esteem. And it is just paramount. You'll be able to adjust on how to respond to adverse situations, and you'll be able to move forward and learn from unexpected situations that arise. And my goodness, haven't we had a lot of unexpected circumstances to have to pivot and deal with? So you'll be able to pursue goals, in different situations, because you'll be able to push through, because you'll have those adaptability skills in your back pocket. The next one is transitions. Maybe you want to transition your business or your personal life. Applying your relationship skills, your mental health, and having your mental health in a strong place be performing at your optimum, that will help you transition into, whether you're dealing with a personal situation or a business situation, you'll have a favorable experience to change. You'll be able to pivot in changing business needs within your industry. And this is vital to any business out there, because if you're not adapting and your business becomes irrelevant, then you're dead, right? And I'm sure most of you have seen some of that in your industry, for sure. So the last one is leadership. Maybe one of your goals is to take on some staff, or you're not used to working alone, or maybe you don't see yourself as a leader. Well, adaptability skills make better leaders. They give you an ability to respond to crisis, and you'll elicit better staff. You will have better engagement. You'll create success in your staff. You'll create a safe environment. Being a good leader and having adaptability skills will have you be outside your comfort zone, but it will make your staff feel safe and comfortable. And your staff will feel appreciated. And staff that feel appreciated work very hard for you. So it's very important for your leadership style to include adaptability skills. So, knowing these 5 elements of adaptability, I would like you to figure out what your adaptability score is. So I'm going to walk you through a quiz. Now, if you grab your notebooks and answer honestly, because what we're going to do is establish a baseline on where your adaptability skills are, so that this will give you an opportunity to see where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are. So I'm going to give you 5 questions, and you're going to answer 1 to 4. Okay, so I'll walk you through this. So the first question is, or the first statement actually is, I adapt to changes quickly. So if almost always this is easy for me, give yourself a 4. Most of the time, but it's stressful, give yourself a 3. I often find this difficult, give yourself a 2. And if you think, I'm not sure, give yourself a 1. Second question, I am willing to learn new skills and procedures. Again, almost always this is easy for me, give yourself a 4. Most of the time, but it can be stressful, give yourself a 3. I often find this difficult, give yourself a 2. And I don't know, give yourself a 1. Question number 3. I am open to new ideas. Almost always this is easy for me, give yourself a 4. Most of the time, but it can be stressful, give yourself a 3. I often find this difficult, give yourself a 2. I'm not sure, give yourself a 1. Okay, question number 4. I look for ways to make changes in my business rather than looking at why they won't change. Almost always this is easy for me, give yourself a 4. Most of the time, but it can be stressful, give yourself a 3. I often find this difficult, give yourself a 2. I'm not sure, give yourself a 1. Question number 5. I stay calm and look for solutions when problems arise. Almost always this is easy for me, give yourself a 4. Most of the time, but it can be stressful, give yourself a 3. I often find it difficult, give yourself a 2. I'm not sure, give yourself a 1. Okay, so now tally up your score. And this will give you an idea of where you're strong and where you're weak in your adaptability skills. And try not to make it right or wrong, good or bad. It's just a baseline for you to see where there's some growth. And, the theme of it is make it grow. So sometimes it's about making it grow like ourselves, right? So yeah, take that tally and just tuck that away. So before we get into some actions you can take to develop your adaptability, I want to talk about what adaptability is not. This is so important. So adaptability is not taking on everything that's coming your way. It does not mean that you have to adjust and, stick handle every single situation coming. I think social media, it can really, feed into this for us and have us in this compare frame of mind. And people can look like they're dealing with all this stuff, so we put all this pressure on ourselves that we should be able to deal with all this stuff too. But it's such a setup. So adaptability is not compromising your well-being so that you can take on every situation. I mean, remember, one of the key elements of adaptability is mental health. So the last thing we want you to do is compromise your mental health to be taking everything else on. So adaptability is not an action. It's not about doing more. It's not even a doing thing. Adaptability is not a verb or an action. Adaptability is a mindset. So it's a way of being, not doing. So stepping back and reevaluating priorities, slowing down, rethinking the way you're doing things day to day, that can be your strongest adaptability skills that you're implementing. Okay, so just be really clear that, adaptability is not about taking everything on. So when you look at the five questions that I just gave you to rate your adaptability, I just want to share with you that I ended up leaving my corporate job after my daughter died, and I opened up a cleaning business to keep the roof over my head. So that to me was adapting to change quickly. I needed income, but I knew that I couldn't deal with the corporate world. I was just sinking in that world. And so I spoke to my own cleaning lady and I got some tips and tricks from her. So that was, willing to learn new skills and procedures, which was question number 2. And then I found out that the Chamber of Commerce was running a business course on how to run a business. So I applied and I got into that program. And that was open to new ideas. That was the question number 3. And then as my business grew and my clientele grew, I hired some staff. And my clients said that they didn't want different people coming into their houses. So I made sure that I assigned a specific girl to a specific house so that the client felt comfortable that it was the same person coming to her house every week. That was looking for ways to make changes rather than focusing on why they won't change. And that was question number 4 from the survey. And then when people left the company, again, I had to transition. So I would go to the house with the girl and I would be there until the client felt comfortable with that new girl. So that's stay calm, look for solutions when problems arise. So, just sharing those examples with you in my own life where I was using adaptability skills, perhaps you can reflect in your own life and see where you're using those adaptability skills and where maybe you need to strengthen them a little bit. Now, I had set up systems and I got offered, 8 years later, I got offered to go back to the corporate world, and I did. But I had systems in place and I was able to pass over the business to a capable cleaner that was able to run the business for me. Now, that worked for a little while, but at the end of the day, I could see where my fear was playing into my expansion strategy, and I ended up ultimately closing that business. So the lesson for me was that I definitely needed to be working with a business coach so that they could expand um, my thinking and my vision, and I could have worked through and adapted with that situation. So I've always been a big advocate of having a business coach and not doing it alone, because we entrepreneurs tend to, work in a silo and work alone. So I would definitely encourage you to get yourself a business coach so that you can have those blind spots revealed to you from a business coach, and so that you can continue to grow and that you don't end up packing things in because you didn't see a solution any other way. So let's talk about how we develop our adaptability skills. Like I said, um, adaptability is in our DNA, but it certainly is a soft skill that we can develop. And that's what we want to develop today. So there's 8 different steps that I have to increase your adaptability skills. So the first one is ask questions. No one can know everything. So if you are open to asking questions, then you are going to expand your ability to think in a different way, like outside the box, because we have our way of doing things, but who knows? If you ask questions, people might have ideas that surprise you. The second one is accept and analyze failures. So don't be afraid to fail. Failure can be a good thing. It can show us where we need to grow. It can show where we make mistakes and where we can do things differently in the future. And speaking of doing different things, do things differently than usual is number 3. So you may be doing the same thing that you're used to, and especially if you've been in business for a long time, you kind of settle into the way things are done. But just changing a small system that you have in your business can be a really liberating thing. Because if you learn how to change things when you're not in crisis, then it will build that adaptability skill so that you can change when you're in crisis or you have an unexpected thing that you have to deal with. So, start making little tweaks and getting out of your comfort zone. Which brings me to number 4, take risks. Now, I'm not saying, unnecessary risks, but, maybe just step outside your comfort zone a little bit and strengthen that muscle. It will definitely create some new innovation and some new failures so that you can learn and fail forward. Get more comfortable with change is the next one. And, change can be uncomfortable and sometimes even scary. But the more we embrace it and the more we make little changes, again, it'll be building that muscle. Be willing to learn. We can't get stuck in our own ways. We can't get stuck in our way or the highway. Be willing to learn, and that might mean taking a new course, expanding your knowledge, doing a little bit of extra research, but definitely be willing to learn, and that will increase your adaptability skills. And then improve on your listening skills. Now, there are many skills to develop your adaptability, but nothing more important than listening. Your clients are talking to you all the time and picking up on their body language and what they're saying. You really want to learn active listening so that you are listening for what they're saying and not listening to create a response to say back. So really, really, really concentrate on active listening. And that in itself, if you really concentrate on increasing your listening skills, you will be able to better react and better adapt to different situations because you're reading the room, you're reading your client, and that will definitely serve you well. And the last one is be positive. Now, I'm not talking about a phony positive. I'm talking about dealing with the what so, the situation at hand, but if you look at it in an optimistic lens, through an optimistic lens, you're going to come up with a better solution than if you're looking at it through a negative lens, right? So I'm not talking about icing over or being phony or whatever, but if you can take the positive approach when you're dealing with unexpected circumstances, it will definitely serve you. So I hope that you take on one or all of these different aspects of adaptability and start applying it in your business. Now, I want to leave you with an exercise so that you can start practicing this right away. So I want you to think of someone in your life that has good adaptability skills, somebody that you see that kind of dances through situations in their life with the ease that you kind of wish that you had. So maybe just take a week and observe that person, maybe even interview them and find out their little tricks of the trade. And then I want you to get your notebook and I want you to practice adaptability skills. So remember, the definition of adaptability is the capacity to spot a changing context and shift your behavior or mindset to achieve a goal. So if you even take a goal that you're going to create 3 situations during the day where you have to shift your mindset and you have to use these adaptability skills that I've just taught you, and start tracking them every day. And I guarantee you that if you track 3 a day, you're going to start noticing that you're building that muscle, and you will see yourself using them even more than 3 times a day if you start tracking it. And tracking it will just like bring it really conscious to the forefront with you so that you're going to notice it. And it's going to be on your mind all the time. So I really suggest writing it down 3 times a day. Just practice that. So I'd like to leave you with some other resources to utilize afterwards. So you can visit us at our website at www.adaptdna.com, and you can download some exercises, some adaptability skill exercises there. Or you can give me a call and we can discuss opportunities about coaching sessions. And also, I invite you to follow us on Facebook. So www.facebook.com/MyGoodGrief. And I'm always posting tips and tricks there for adaptability skills. And I just really want to thank you for participating today. And yeah, let's just make it grow together. Take care.